Okay, so today we're going to be doing some pinch pot demos. The first will be off a solid piece of clay and making a little pinch pot cup. The second will be starting with a flat slab base and then adding pinch sections to create a cup. And they can be rough and show all the texture marks, or you can smooth them out later depending on what you wanted your pot to be. So the first pot is the solid piece of clay pinch pot. So you're gonna get about a pound or so of clay, like a tennis ball size to baseball size, or like a medium apple or orange size piece of clay. You're gonna put that in your less dominant hand. And then with your dominant hand, you're gonna push your thumb down in the middle and pinch the edges with your index finger and middle finger. So pinch. So there's one pinch right there. And it's already starting to form into a cup shape or a bowl shape form. So you just push down and pinch the edges and rotate it. And you try to do that with like even pressure. And if there's any cracks or anything on the surface, you can get a little bit of water. And if they're horizontal cracks, you go over them vertically to compress them out. You can use your small sponge to smooth them a little bit more. I would suggest smoothing them as you go, not waiting till the very end. Because if the cracks get too large or too dry, they're going to be problematic to smooth out later. And the idea is to get the floor of the pot the same thickness as the walls of the pot, so it dries evenly. Which it's more important that it dries evenly than that if it's super thin. So like you want the walls, if they're gonna be like a 1/4 inch or so, you want the floor to be a 1/4 inch or so as well. So when the clay dries and shrinks in, it doesn't dry faster in the walls than it does on the floor. So you want it so it dries more evenly and prevents it from cracking, okay? And you can spend, anywhere from like 5 minutes to an hour, depending on how methodical you want to be, how precise you want your pinch pots to be, how you want them to look. But there's the basic idea of the first kind, just starting with one piece of clay and pinching that until you have your cup or little bowl shape. The second pinch pot, you're gonna get a little piece of clay, like maybe a 1/2 pound, even like a 1/4 pound of clay. And if you don't have a slab roller or a rolling pin at home, what you can do is just press down and get this a little bit thinner. And then what you can do is you take your thumb, start in the middle, and push out and rotate it to kind of get this started as a little base. Okay, so now you have like a little base started, right? It's already like the start of a little bowl, okay? And when you're doing this method, it's important to have a scoring tool or a lot of patience in your pin tool. So here are 3 of the main types of scoring tools. We got your scoring tool that's basically a texture tool. So they sell it as texture tool to add like hair texture into like sculptures. You have your serrated rib, and then you have your small scoring tool with multiple prongs that's really good for using attaching handles to. If you don't have any of those, you'll be using your pin tool that comes in that basic pottery tool kit that only has 1 prong, so you'll be doing a lot more scoring. So just as an example, like with the pin tool, you'll be going one direction, going across it, going across it a 3rd way, then going across a 4th way. So if you have any one of these 3 tools, you can dip them in water and just like really quickly score across the whole surface. Okay? And it is important when you're combining 2 pieces of clay to score both sides. So if you put like a piece of clay on top of another piece of clay and there's no scoring, it's basically like this. They're very easy to come apart. But if you're scoring both sides and scratching up both sides, they're like this. So it's more interlocked, much harder to come apart, much less likely to crack on you. So now I've just taken a little piece of clay off a block and I'm going to pinch this flat. And then I'm going to score the bottom of this and start adding sections like this to my base. So you can kind of see how I'm doing that there. And when I'm adding a piece, I'm trying to compress down as I'm adding it, and then I'll blend the clay from the top to the bottom and the bottom to the top. And then I'll do the same on the inside. And then when they're together, I'll check. If they don't come apart from this pressure, you're doing a good job scoring and compressing, and they should stay together. Let's get another section. So I'll do a couple more sections and then call this one done. See how it's coming along. Now I'm going to get pieces for the middles here, and then I'll cut it level. So it's more of a cut shape. When I'm cutting, I like to use my X-Acto blade opposed to the pin tool. If you don't have an X-Acto though, the pin tool will work okay. Blend all this together. Piece of clay here. This clay. Cut this off a little bit. I'm gonna add another little piece over here that's a little lower of a section, just so the cup's a little bit more substantial. And when you are making anything, you have to keep in mind, like, clay shrinks. Generally with commercial clay, it's like 12 to 15%, which usually equals to like a 1/2 inch. So it's going to shrink like a 1/2 inch in and a 1/2 inch down, generally speaking. With that, every clay body is a little different. And, you know, if you're needing to make precise sizes for like an order or something like that, you'd want to figure out the shrinkage and exactly how much ahead of time. So yeah, there's pretty much the pinch pot here. I'm going to cut it a little bit more level and then start letting it dry. Be patient with it, and then after it's set up and gotten to that leather hard stage, that cheese hard stage, then I'll take my old pen that I use for signatures. And that's usually what I'm using to write my name on pieces. Okay, there's the second kind right there. If I was gonna glaze it, I'd want to probably bevel the edge on the bottom to give it a little slope and give the glaze a little place to stop. So you can do that with a serrated rib, or you can cut it. But now when this sits on a table, it'll have a little bit of a lifted edge here, so it won't sit like flat and blend into the table. It'll have a little edge. So that's pretty much it. That's the two kinds of pinch pots. Solid piece, multiple pieces with a slab base. All right, thank you so much.